When a man is secretly attracted to you, one of the first things that changes is his sex attention. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, almost invisible to anyone else. But to you, it feels personal. His focus narrows. You start to notice how his eyes linger on you for a moment longer than necessary, how his responses become a little more thoughtful. Seat, how he remembers the things you said that no one else seemed to catch. That's because attraction, real attraction, sharpens awareness. When someone captures our emotions, our mind unconsciously prioritizes them. Suddenly, every glance, every tone, every detail connected to that person becomes significant. You'll notice it not just in what he looks at, but how he looks. He's not just scanning the room, he's observing. He's studying your reactions, your laughter, the way you carry yourself. When you speak, he's not simply hearing words. He's attuned to your energy, to what your ex feeling. That kind of focus is rare because it's not something a person can fake consistently. Seat. It leaks through naturally when someone feels emotionally drawn in. And what's fascinating about it is that most men don't even realize they're doing it. The attention they give isn't calculated, it's instinctual. He might think he's being subtle, seat, that he's keeping it to himself, but his behavior betrays him. The reason is simple: emotional attraction overrides strategy. When we care, we start noticing things we didn't notice before. We become sensitive to presence. That's the psychology of emotional magnetism. Attention becomes an unconscious act of devotion. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Sometimes he'll try to hide it. He'll break eye contact too quickly, act distracted, or downplay his interest to maintain control. Yet even in that restraint, the truth shows up in micro moments. The way his voice softens when he says your name, seat, how his body subtly angles toward you even when he's speaking to someone else, how he asks a question that reveals he's been paying attention all along. It's those contradictions, the quiet focus wrapped in casual denial, that give him away. Because when a man's attention shifts toward you in this way, it's not just about physical attraction. It's about psycho-emotional significance. Ducks. Something about you has touched his curiosity, maybe even his vulnerability. And attraction at that level isn't about admiration from afar. It's about connection. It's the pull to understand you, not just to look at you. It's the difference between liking someone and being moved by them. This is why attention is one of the clearest, earliest signs of hidden attraction. It's not what he says, it's where his focus naturally goes when no one's watching. When a man finds himself drawn to your presence, even his silence speaks. And in a world where so many people crave validation through words, attention is the truest currency of attraction. So, when you notice that subtle shift, that extra moment of listening, that deeper glance, that sense that you're not just being seen, but studied with care, don't ignore it. You're witnessing one of the most honest reflections of human connection, the way genuine attraction redirects our awareness. Because in the end, people can fake interest, they can perform confidence, but they can't fake where their attention naturally falls. And when it falls on you consistently, quietly, seat, without needing to be forced, that's not coincidence. That's emotion revealing itself through focus. A closing thought attraction doesn't start with a confession, it starts with awareness. When someone's attention keeps returning to you, even when they're trying not to show it, that's not an accident. That's the beginning of something real. One of the most revealing signs that a man is secretly attracted to you lies in his nervous energy. That quiet tension that appears not because he's uncomfortable around you, seat, but because he cares too much, about how he comes across. You can see it in the small details. The way he fidgets with his hands when you're talking, how his voice momentarily stumbles when he starts to speak, or how he laughs a little too quickly after something you say. These aren't random behaviors, they're subtle signals of emotional investment. When a man is indifferent, he's relaxed, unaffected. But when he's drawn to you, his composure shifts. Not because he's weak, but because attraction disrupts the part of the brain that's used to being in control. There's something deeply human about that. Pull attraction isn't about calm, curated selves and exposes the side we usually keep hidden. That's why even confident men who appear collected in every other context, can suddenly become awkward around the person they like. It's not that they've forgotten how to speak, it's that your presence activates something more personal, something that bypasses their usual filters. Their body language starts revealing truths their mind is trying to hide. What's fascinating is how many people misinterpret this nervousness. They think, "Seat, if he's awkward, maybe he's not interested," but it's often the opposite. When someone truly matters to us, we stop relying on habit, and that's when we stumble. His words may come out slightly off, his timing might be clumsy, but underneath that uncertainty is sincerity. He's trying to get it right. And that effort, even when imperfect, is what makes attraction feel genuine. Now, this nervous energy doesn't always look the same. Some men overcompensate by acting extra confident, almost too casual, too dismissive as a way to mask what they're feeling. They joke more, tease lightly, or shift between moments of playfulness and sudden quiet. Seat. That push and pull is emotional camouflage. It's his way of protecting himself from exposure while still trying to stay close. It's the paradox of attraction, the desire to be seen, and the fear of being fully known. You can sense it in how he behaves differently around you compared to others. Maybe he's more careful with his words, or perhaps he seems unusually tuned into how you react. It's that subtle vigilance, the awareness that what happens in your presence matters more than usual. He's not nervous because he doubts himself. He's nervous because he values the moment. And that difference matters. Nervousness driven by fear is about avoidance. Nervousness driven by attraction is about presence. This is what makes human connection so powerful. The signs that reveal attraction aren't found in the perfect words or the smooth gestures. They're found in the cracks, in those unscripted reactions that escape control. That's where you see truth. Because someone's emotions are real, their composure can't hold it all in. So if you ever notice a man who seems a little thrown off by your presence, not in a dismissive way, but in that genuine human way where you can almost thus feel his energy shifting, pay attention. That's the sound of authenticity breaking through the surface. And that's a rare thing in a world full of performances. A 6x closing, thought exit, real attraction doesn't make people perfect. It makes them reals. When someone's calm turns into nervousness around you, it's not a weakness. It's proof that you've reached a part of them that isn't controlled by ego, but by emotion. And that's the truest form of connection, when someone's guard slips and their feelings finally speak for them. When a man is secretly attracted to you, yet most understated, signs lies in how deeply he remembers the small things, not the grand gestures or obvious moments, but the quiet details you might in passing, your favorite song, a story about your childhood, how you take your coffee, or even something you said once that revealed a glimpse of your mindset. To him, these moments become anchors. They stay with him not because he's trying to memorize them, but because they sex matter. When someone stirs something real within us, our mind naturally begins to collect fragments of them, like small tokens of emotional connection. Most people assume attraction is about physical chemistry, the glances, the flirting, the shared energy. And while those things matter, emotional attraction is built in the quieter spaces, in the noticing. A man who's truly drawn to you isn't just reacting to your presence. He's attuned to you. He listens differently. He observes with curiosity rather than judgment. It's not about performance. It's about connection. When you mention something personal, he doesn't just nod along. He holds on to it because that detail gives him a deeper understanding of who you are. Think about we only remember what we care about. The mind filters out most of what we experience every day. So when someone remembers precision, something about you that even as you might have forgotten saying, it's not random. It's emotional significance. That's how attraction expresses itself without words. It's focus. It's investment of mental energy. It's the subconscious saying, this person matters enough for me to keep track. Now, here's the interesting thing. He might never openly talk about how much he remembers. He may not even realize he's doing it, but it shows up in subtle ways. Maybe he references a story you told weeks ago or brings up something you mentioned just once. Maybe he sends you something that connects to a topic you once discussed. These moments are his way of saying, I see you, without ever having to say the words. They're small gestures, but they carry emotional weight. This kind of remembering also reveals something about his intent. Men who are casually interested don't invest in the details. They focus on the surface. But a man who's emotionally engaged finds meaning in the specifics. It's his way of building an invisible thread between you, one detail at a time. It's not about trying to impress you. It's about staying connected to the parts of you that make you. And what's beautiful about this is that it's not a strategy. It's instinct. When we truly like someone, our brain lights up in ways that heighten emotional memory. That's why you remember the sound of someone's laugh or the way they looked at you in a specific moment. The same thing happens for him. He's not just attracted to how you look. He's drawn to your essence. So the next time you notice a man bringing up a small detail you shared, don't dismiss it. That's not just politeness. It's attention born of care. It's the difference between someone hearing your words and someone listening to your heart through them. Al-Saks closing thought dapaks, real attraction lives in awareness. When someone truly likes you, they don't need to say it constantly. Their memory does it for them. Because remembering the little things isn't just a habit. It's proof that you've already taken up space in their mind. And that's where true emotional connection begins. Another subtle but powerful sign that a man is secretly attracted to you is the way he finds reasons to be around you. Even when there's no real reason to be, it's not always dramatic or obvious. In fact, it's often disguised in casual moments, in coincidences that don't feel like coincidences. Maybe he shows up at places you frequent, or volunteers to help you with something trivial, or lingers in a conversation longer than necessary. What's really happening is that he's looking for proximity, not because he has to, but because, on some level, being near you brings him a sense of ease and excitement he doesn't fully understand yet. Attraction doesn't just make us want someone. It makes us seek closeness. It's not just about wanting to talk. It's about wanting to exist in the same space. Even if it's just a few extra minutes at the end of a meeting, a quick visit under some practical excuse, or a subtle attempt to extend a digital conversation, He's trying to prolong the connection. The mind, when it's drawn to someone, craves their energy the way a plant leans towards sunlight. It's not logical. It's instinctive. And this behavior often reveals something deeper about his emotional state. Men who feel something real often struggle to express it directly, especially when they're afraid of rejection or not sure how their feelings will be received. So instead of saying, "I want to be with you," they show it through presence. They orbit closer. They find moments to stay within your world because, consciously or not, they're hoping to be noticed. But what's even more telling is how he's around you. It's not forced or attention-seeking. It's often subtle, like he's content, just being near, observing, soaking in the moments without demanding anything in return. What you're seeing is emotional vulnerability masked as casual interest. He's drawn in, but he's cautious. He's showing up, but not announcing his intention. This is the dance many men do when they care deeply, but haven't yet found the courage to make it explicit. And it's often in these quiet gestures, not the grand ones, that the sincerity of his attraction is revealed. Because when someone's feelings are shallow, they chase intensity. But when they're deep, they seek consistency. And consistency always finds its way through presence. This is why it's important to notice patterns rather than moments. If he keeps showing up, not in an overwhelming, obsessive way, but in a steady, grounded way, it's not coincidence. It's care in motion. Attraction at this level isn't about attention. It's about connection. It's not that he wants to impress you. He wants to feel close to you. And that distinction matters because one is about ego and the other is about emotion. So if you find yourself asking, why does he always seem to be around? Understand that's not random. That's how emotional attraction reveals itself before words catch up to feelings. His presence is his confession, quiet, patient, and often more honest than anything he could say out loud. Acts, closing thought, sex. When someone's drawn to you on a deeper level, their actions don't need translation. They naturally move closer, even when there's no script for it. Because genuine attraction doesn't ask for permission. It simply seeks connection. And sometimes, just being near you is the closest way he knows how to say, "You matter to me." Another undeniable sign that a man is secretly attracted to you is how attentive he becomes to the smallest details about you. Things most people overlook. He remembers that offhand comment you made weeks ago about your favorite coffee order. He notices when you change something about your hair or when your mood feels slightly different. He might even recall a story you told once, one you barely remember mentioning, and bring it up at just the right moment. Now, this isn't just about good memory. It's about emotional focus. Because when someone truly likes you, their attention becomes selective. They start tuning in almost unconsciously to the things that make you see you. Attraction sharpens awareness. It's not about staring or hovering. It's about noticing. The tone of your voice, the rhythm of your laughter, the way your energy changes when you talk about something you love, all of that becomes information to him. And that level of attention comes from curiosity. When a man is drawn to you, he doesn't just want to be around you. He wants to understand you. He's trying to map the contours of who you are. Not just the way you look, but the way you think, feel, and move through the world. What's fascinating is that men don't always realize they're doing this. They'll think they're just being polite or that they just remember things easily. But it's not about memory, it's about meaning. You've occupied space in his mind. And once someone has that emotional footprint, their mind starts collecting evidence details, patterns, anything that helps them feel closer to the person who's captivated them. You can often see this in the way he adjusts himself around you. Seat. He may pick up on your preferences and start reflecting them, subtly aligning with your energy. If you mention you love a certain type of music, seat. He suddenly knows more about that genre than you expected. If you once mentioned you dislike small talk, he dives straight into deeper conversations. This isn't manipulation, it's resonance. It's him instinctively adapting to connect more deeply, to show he's listening, even when he's not saying much. Attention is a form of affection. And in a world where most people are too distracted to genuinely listen, it's one of the most meaningful indicators of interest. When someone truly listens, not to respond, but to understand, it's because you've become important enough to warrant that energy. And men, seat, especially, don't give that kind of focus lightly. They tend to reserve it for people who move them, who awaken something deeper than surface level attraction. But here's the subtle truth. That kind of attentiveness doesn't just reveal attraction, it reveals vulnerability. Because to notice deeply is to care deeply. Seat. And caring means opening yourself up to being affected by someone else's world. So when a man listens with intent, remembers your words, and moves through conversations with emotional precision, what he's really showing is that your presence has disrupted his usual rhythm. You've become someone whose details matter, acts closing thought status. In a culture obsessed with loud gestures, quiet attention is often the most powerful confession. When he listens, remembers, and responds with genuine care, he's not just being kind, he's revealing connection. Because love doesn't always announce itself in words. Sometimes it whispers through awareness in the way he remembers the small things that most people never even see. One of the clearest, yet most misunderstood, signs that a man is secretly attracted to you is how he becomes a little off balance around you. Not in a clumsy, sitcom kind of way, but in that quiet, human way where composure starts to slip. He might stumble over his words, lose his usual confidence for a moment or second. Guess what he says? Not because he's insecure, but because he suddenly cares about how he's being perceived. That's the emotional tension of attraction, the balance between wanting to appear calm and being genuinely affected by someone's presence. When a man truly likes someone, it's not always smooth. He might seem slightly nervous, talk faster, or hesitate before saying something personal. That shift in energy is telling. It's what happens when the mind and emotions collide, when his heart races ahead of his logic. Most people think confidence means being unshaken, but real connection often shakes us in the most unexpected ways. And in that moment of unease, you get a glimpse of authenticity. The real, unguarded version of him that's usually hidden from everyone else. See, men are often conditioned to project certainty, to appear in control, decisive, unaffected, but attraction has a way of cracking through that mask. Around someone he's truly drawn to, a man's armor softens. He might joke more, or get playful, or conversely, become quieter and more introspective. The key isn't how he reacts, it's that he changes. That small emotional turbulence is his body's way of signaling that something meaningful is happening. It's fascinating how often this nervous energy is misinterpreted. Many people see it and think, seat, he's awkward, or he doesn't seem interested. But nervousness, especially in men, is often a reflection of respect. It means he values the interaction enough to want it to go right. It's emotional investment leaking through the cracks of self-control. And the irony is, the more he tries to suppress it, the more noticeable it becomes. The subtle fidget, the deeper breath, the slight shift in tone. Now, this isn't about reading into every nervous gesture or assuming every shy smile means something profound. It's about understanding Anna's energy acts. When someone is usually engaged, their body responds. Their mind can't entirely regulate the emotions that attraction triggers. A quickened heartbeat, a softer voice, eyes that linger just a little too long. These are micro expressions of care and fascination. They don't shout, they whisper. But those whispers are often more honest than any words he could say. Here's the deeper truth: being around someone who affects us brings us closer to our most human self. That's why this sign is so meaningful. It shows that, at least for a moment, he's willing to step out of control and into connection. He's letting emotion override image. And that's rare, especially for someone who's used to managing how they come across. So when you notice that soft stumble, that flicker of vulnerability, you're not just seeing attraction, you're seeing truth. Exercise closing, thought physics. The most genuine signs of interest aren't polished. They're human. The man who feels a little nervous, a little unsteady, is often the one whose feelings run deepest. Because real attraction doesn't make us perfect. It makes us present. It humbles the ego and awakens the heart. And if you ever see that quiet shift in him, see it. Know that you've touched something real, something that even he can't hide.